I'm going to jump right into these 5 fragrances that can all be purchased for under $40. First up is our Moth Club de Nuit Intensement EDT. It has an amazingly bright opening that is all about pineapple, bergamot, and lemon. The pineapple is the most prominent of the 3 and carries a juicy accord. After the first 15 to 20 minutes, the pineapple and lemon stop exploding off the skin, and it allows for the birch and musk nuances to make its way in. For the rest of the wear, you do get some additional smoke accents, but it stays quite linear. Overall, a classy, masculine, and attention-grabbing scent. The performance is outstanding, 10 to 12 hours on the skin, and it pushes out multiple feet for most of the wear. Quite close to beast mode, just not quite it. How about seasons and occasions? All occasions and all seasons. Next up, one of my favorites, Versace the Dreamer opens with a huge blast of aromatics. There's a clean yet sharpness to it, equal parts white florals and iris lead. Though they are common notes, they are quite interesting here. The first few minutes are a whirlwind of smells, ranging from herbal to powdery to even slightly spicy. After these first few minutes, I smell a dominant tobacco note. It was always present, but took a few minutes to really come through. Rather than your typical smooth tobacco, it's a bit untamed, which makes it quite attention-grabbing. As the Dreamer heads into the heart, it becomes softer, easier to wear, and simply less decisive. The tobacco note is still present and will be for the rest of the wear, but not to the degree of the beginning. Into the dry down, the fragrance becomes simpler and smoother. The rest of the wear is a well-rounded dose of florals, greens, tobacco, and woods. The longevity is average, lasting around 6 hours on the skin with moderate to light projection. It pushes out 2 feet for an hour or so, but once the dry down starts, it recedes closer to the skin. So wearability, it can be worn for all occasions, the projection is light enough that it's not overwhelming, and the smell is sophisticated enough to stand out on those special occasions. As for seasons, all, spring, summer, fall, and winter, just not on the hottest or coldest days of summer and winter, respectively. Probably one of the most mature fragrances on this list, Davidoff Coldwater EDT opens as ultra aromatic with a strong blend of mint and herbal tones that emphasize a high degree of freshness. The mint is particularly interesting as it has an alluring spice to it. In the background, I catch wafts of dusty lavender and a faint aquatic backbone. Altogether, the opening is very well balanced. Now that was the first 15 to 20 minutes. After this period, the fresh herbal tones are retained and the lavender becomes more prominent, lending a greater degree of fresh floral and clean nuances. One thing I will note about the lavender is that it has an old school aroma rather than a classy and modern one. This is of no surprise as it was released in the 80s. Coldwater dries down after a few hours. Here you'll smell an enticing dose of musk, green aromatics, and an aquatic backbone for the rest of the wear. The performance is average. It lasts 6 to 7 hours on the skin with light to moderate projection. It is what I like to call gentlemanly projection. In the first couple of hours, it pushes out 2 feet before receding closer to the skin. Coldwater is exclusively for warm weather. It works amazing in the summer and late spring, but any other time of the year, it just doesn't do so well. Pretty typical of a fresh fragrance. Now occasions, it best fits casual and office wear. Going back to earlier, it has a gentlemanly projection, so it won't offend anyone in the office, but it doesn't have the power or oomph factor to stand out in situations other than these two. Draco New York EDT opens with oak moss and lavender. They are rather dry and smooth, but at least jump right into that masculine nature. In the background is a leathery depth with citric bergamot nuances dancing atop and breaking up the intensity of the opening. The bergamot shines for a few minutes, but as quick as it was there, it's gone. For the next 45 minutes, it's a very linear green scent with all accords from before, but with the addition of a crisp awakening mint. It really helps liven up the entire fragrance, and then the fun only begins in the dry down. Draco New York can be a hard scent to wrap your nose around at times because there is so much going on in the base. Yeah, I'm going to simplify it for you. So the base is all about herbal and green tones with woody notes. The performance is average. It lasts 6 hours on the skin with moderate projection. It makes your presence known but doesn't scream for attention. It can be worn for all occasions and almost all seasons. Really hot days are too much, but works perfect in the spring, fall, and winter. Beth Black by Salvatore Ferragamo's opening is all about classy and mature lavender with spicy and sweet green apple nuances. It retains this lavender for most of the wear. The heart is smoothed over by a vanillic tonka bean, and the base is supported by an ambery depth, but other than that, the scent is quite linear. The performance lasts 7 hours on the skin with moderate to light projection. I know some will say that they get 10 plus hours on this, but I never get that. It is best worn for special events like dates and formal occasions. It has a very unique lavender and creamy vanilla nuance that really just allures attention. As for seasonality, spring, fall, and winter. Thanks for listening. See you next time.